Hey folks, this is Matt Doyle, MLSsoccer.com's armchair analyst, joined by editor-in-chief Greg Lalas, who does not have a nickname, so please suggest something.
Some people think editor-in-chief is a nickname.
Well,
That's all right.
you live up to it. Today we're going to be taking a look at the long ball. The ball over the top into space to strikers who could run onto it and get one-on-one with the keeper. And the common denominator almost always is lack of pressure on the guy serving the ball.
Yeah, well, that's, coaches preach this all the time. Deny the service is what they say. So you always look at the guys in back and say, oh, well, why couldn't they deal with this ball over the top or this long ball from the flanks? And you say, well, how did that ball get going in the first place? Because nobody was putting any pressure on, whether it's the guy in the center back position or the guy out wide. So you do need to deny service.
Yeah, and we saw that twice this week with Freddie Adu, a long ball to Leonard Pahoy, who thankfully for the Red Bulls dragged it wide. And then later the same game, Rafa Marquez over the top to Kenny Cooper, who did not drag it wide. He made it, he made it count. And two guys in the league you definitely don't want to give that chance to are Marquez and Adu.
No, and Marquez, we've seen it again and again in particular with him, where he has the ability to hit that ball out of the back. When there's no pressure on him, he can put it on a dime, as we like to say. Freddie Adu, he's still learning that. I don't necessarily think that his vision is right there with Marquez's. He's more, at this point, crafty, go at a defender type of thing. But if you give anybody enough space, if you give the armchair analyst enough space, he'll stand up out of the armchair and he'll be able to hit a ball and put it on a dime somewhere to somebody.
Yeah, of course I could. I'm incredibly talented. The other guy who had a nice long ball this weekend was Nelson Rivas, the Colombian defender from Montreal. And it was beautiful for two reasons. One, it was right in stride. Two, it put the center backs in a terrible place. They had a lot of decisions to make. And you, a former MLS center back, have had to make that decision many times in your playing
not many
career.
times. Trust me, I didn't play that much. It was definitely not many.
Tell us about what's going through the heads of AJ De La Garza and Dan Keat on this play.
Well, this is an interesting one because you have to first look at who the two strikers were for Montreal. Bernardo Corradi was the first one who checks back to the ball from Rivas, and then Davy Arnaud. So what are their two assets that they bring? Corradi has size, Arnaud has speed, and they play it to a T in this one. Corradi checks back. AJ De La Garza, the shorter of the two center backs, he's good in the air because he can jump, but he's still a little short. He goes to put some pressure on Corradi. However, he backs off when he realizes he's not going to get to the ball, and he's actually not going to be able to compete with Corradi even if they do go up for this. The other one is Dan Keat. Has a little more size than De La Garza, but he doesn't have necessarily the wherewithal at center back, and he lets Davy Arnaud get in front of him. That's the key here for Keat, is that as Davy Arnaud makes that crossing run, looking for the flick from Corradi, he gets a shoulder. You can even see Arnaud kind of flick his shoulder in front of Keat, and that puts Keat out of the play after that. From then on, Arnaud has the speed, he's going to get away from Keat, and a guy with his talent, he's going to put the ball away.
So it was a little bit of veteran savvy and a lot of skill. And remember, it's almost always a total team breakdown. There's no pressure and there's wrong decisions in the back. Guys, thanks for joining us on another episode of Between the Lines. Greg, thanks for helping us out this week.
Glad to be here.
We'll be doing it again next week, back home in San Francisco, flying solo. We'll see you then.